Hello and welcome to the Successful Mentalist podcast. Of course, my name's Ashley Green. I'm joined by the wonderful co-host and mindset guru on the TSM podcast that is Aidan O'Sullivan. It is midweek, which means it's time for another Just the Tip episode. And today we're going to be talking about feedback. You must be getting it. You must be doing it. And I know, Aidan, I'm going to dive straight into this one. When we say feedback, everyone goes, oh, yes, reviews, quotes, testimonials. I must probably update that. I should probably look at getting some because it's great social proof, but that's kind of where people leave their feedback. It does go, as you're going to hear today in this little episode, it goes a little bit further beyond and you can use feedback really to your advantage. But let's start on that. Social proof, Aidan. Feedback, testimonials. We got to be getting this stuff. It's so useful. Why?
There's a few reasons why, and we're going to explore those today. And actually, the first does come from exactly what you've said. Social proof. Now, feedback is so important because, again, if you ask the questions, you get that feedback. If it's good feedback and it's good, really powerful feedback, you can turn that into testimonials. You can turn that into quotes that you could directly copy and paste and put on things like your website, your Facebook page, your Google account, or getting other people to go and post it on their behalf. Like, you can share this and it makes you look like a better entertainer. And fun fact, it gives that bonus sort of preconception from new clients to think, oh my gosh, you've got 150 Google reviews. You must be good. And now they don't have to, and that, again, by having that sort of preconception from your clients actually coming to you, it means that you can do things such as, up your fee. It means you can convert more leads. It means you are going to get more leads in the first place because not only are you ranking higher on those search engines, but you are naturally a better performer. And that starts with actually getting feedback. So if you want to get more social proof and get more gigs, increase your fee and do all of this amazing stuff, you must start getting feedback today.
100%. So I suppose the question now comes in for people. Okay, wow, yeah. I knew I needed to get this stuff already, or they're like, I've already got this stuff, but I needed to update it. How do I go about getting this? And it's really quite simple at the end of the day, Aidan. Ask. You just ask for it. Like this one, it's not that hard. People often overthink it, but there's a few things we can do. I know specifically after you've done a gig, just in the follow-up, if they're happy with how it went, and if it was a gig that went well, I'm not on about those gigs where you turn up and like everything's an absolute disaster and it's gone to utter chaos and you leave like, oh, I never want to do a gig like that again. Like when you've done a good gig and you think, oh, that was fantastic, the client loves it, literally just, hey, would you mind leaving a bit of feedback over here? I know something I do, Aidan. I actually do this mid-performance. I make a little joke about it and I bring up a little Google review page and I say, well, I'm going to bugger off now, and if you guys would fancy leaving a little review here about what you've experienced today, I'll be going. And people laugh, but I end up getting really, really good reviews because I've done it in that moment. But it all boils down to that same thing of asking. And there's some other things where people can do. Obviously, I've mentioned Google reviews, sending out a link, but you can put forms together, can't you?
Yeah, this is something that I like to do. I like to send a short 3 to 5 question survey to my clients, actually after they've booked me, or to attendees to my public shows, because I make sure I get all of their contact information and then follow up. But that's the most important thing that you said there, Ashley. During your follow-up sequence, well, 90% of entertainers out there do not have a follow-up sequence, or they have a follow-up sequence and it consists of a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 emails, or that's it. Like, if that. And it's really bizarre. So we actually need to start asking questions and get comfortable with asking questions. And at the end of the day, you're doing this to improve. Which brings us on to reason number 2, getting specific improvements. If you want to genuinely improve your businesses, your performances, your mindset, everything, you must get feedback. It is an absolute key component to improving and finding things that you actually need to improve. And you can start doing that by finding out the specific things that need improving. Now, it's all well and good that we can send out this survey and get some testimonials for social proof and things, but that's not going to get us any further in our entertainment business. It's not actually going to advance us and help us get better at all of this stuff. Instead, asking the right questions, asking better questions. And actually, there's a couple of things that we like to do when we're asking questions, and a couple of types of questions that we absolutely love. Maybe you could explore those a second.
Well, we know entertainers that take this extra step and they actually put forms together to ask for feedbacks, ways they could improve, and they start going with waffly questions like, how would you recommend I do the magic? How would you recommend I change this? What could I do better? And their questions are so vague that people don't give you an actual useful response that you can really act upon. So one of the things that I like most is sticking to, what is the one thing that I could do to improve, to maybe change? What was the one thing that you enjoyed? What was the one thing that stood out? And really kind of narrowing it down. That way it's forcing them, rather than just going for a very generic answer which they could put in that box, and now thinking, okay, what was the one thing I enjoyed the most? What was the one thing that they could probably change if, to get a better service? And you could even niche that down again, couldn't you? What would be the one thing I could change in how I dealt with everything in the business leading up to the gig, if you felt you wanted to get feedback in that area? And focusing and really niching that question down so you're going hyper specific leads them to leaving a hyper specific answer to you. It's more useful, more practical, and now you've got something that you can act upon.
Well, exactly that. It's so important. And that actually comes across to the third reason that you must get feedback. It actually comes down to your internal success management. And what we mean by that is actually how you think you're doing, how you think you're performing. What is going on inside your head? You see, in our entertainment businesses, we get put in this position where we do everything. We're doing the sales, we're doing the marketing, we're doing the gigs and the fulfillment of the actual service. We do everything. We do it all. And that's okay. Like, that's fine. We can teach you how to get hustle free and stop doing all of that stuff. But the real key is actually being able to measure where you are in your own mindset. And again, it's so important when you start asking questions and you ask better questions, you're getting this specific, clear, actionable feedback that you can take action upon and change and improve little areas. For example, if you know that you want to be getting more gigs and you think that there are 3 sections to that, there's the actual quality of the performances, the actual marketing, and the overall sales process. Maybe they're the 3 sections for you. Again, take and pick and choose and apply this to your own thing, but you start getting feedback. You know that maybe your performances are absolutely phenomenal, your marketing or your sales process is also phenomenal. However, you need to improve your marketing because you're not getting the right number of gigs, or you're not getting the right type of gigs. That is now coming down through specific types of feedback. You can work out exactly where you need to improve and exactly what you need to do. And the simplest approach is to actually just start using the answers. Actually, you ask all of this feedback, and we know performers that go out and get loads and loads of feedback, and they follow our advice in terms of asking specific questions and asking more questions, and then trying to actually use this. Like, they get confused and they don't know where to start and they don't know what to do. And I think something that we're really fond of is actually just, if we're confused or we want to go a little bit deeper on a specific answer to a question, there is nothing stopping you following up again with the client to ask them more about their answers to the feedback survey. I get this all the time. There's sometimes these like little elements that I want to just know, like, hey, that's a really good answer to this, but I'd love to pick your brains. I noticed that you said XYZ could be improved. How do you think it could be improved? And then get practical.
That's it. Never be scared to ask more, ask further, and engage in conversation. Never be scared of that, because it leads to so many things. But I hope you guys can really understand from this episode why you must, and I say that in big capital letters, bold letters, you must start getting feedback if you're not already. And if you are getting feedback, how can you get better quality of feedback so that, as you've heard today, you can actually act upon it and start improving what you're doing within your entertainment business, within your performances, or anything else. But with that said, Aidan, maybe it's time that we need to ask for feedback. I want to ask you guys, you've been here listening to the Successful Mentalist podcast for a while now, and we've been sharing a whole plethora of various different tips, tricks, methods, and techniques. And I want to ask, what's changed for you? How are you guys getting along? How are you finding our resources? What do you think of the quality of content we're currently putting out? Which is why today, in this feedback episode, we've actually got in the show notes below a little link to a feedback form so that you can head over to our website, thesuccessfulmentalist.com/feedback, and you could leave a little bit of feedback to tell us how we're getting on within TSM, how you've been able to use the advice and apply it within your own careers, your entertainment business. We would genuinely love to hear, because of all of the reasons that we've said today is going to help us a lot, but also it'll be so beautiful to hear right from you, the listeners, what you're actually getting out of this podcast. That would be absolutely amazing. So with that in mind, thesuccessfulmentalist.com/feedback. Head over there now, fill out the form, and we would genuinely love to read through. So with that said, we will see you guys very, very soon for another episode of The Successful Mentalist podcast. I hope you all have a fantastic day, morning, night, or evening, wherever in the world you guys are from.